We'll take a look at some JavaFX. What I'm going to do first is create a new class called First Game. And we're going to look at some of the basics on essentially how to create the first game. This video is not going to finish that off, but it's going to get you started, and it's going to get you through the first day's assignment. So the first thing we need to do is we need to extend this to add an application. And we're going to say extends. Okay, application. When I click on this here, you'll notice it gives me the option. It says import application com.sun.class or import JavaFX application. I always want to be choosing the one that says JavaFX, because if I do not choose that one, I'm going to get myself in trouble later. JavaFX is relatively new, and there's some of the same keywords that are extending other things, so we have to make sure we are extending that there. Okay. Once you do this, you're going to get another error. It's going to say you have not implemented the method, so we're going to implement the methods there. The first method is this stage here. Okay, so the one thing I'm going to do is called stage, and it gives it a name args. I'm going to actually rename it to stage. We're going to see that several times. My main class, we still have our main class, but we don't do much with it. And I'm actually going to just kind of put this all onto one line. And the word that we use for this is just launch. And we do launch parentheses args, the arguments that we have in a semicolon. And that's our whole main class. We're done with our main class. Now, most of the JavaFX then goes into this start method here. And so that's why it's adding this start method. And we're going to create a couple of real basic things just to get us going. So you can see we have a stage, and we start with a stage. And so I'm going to work ourselves backwards. I'm going to say, okay, stage dot set scene. And I'm going to add a scene. And I don't have my scene yet, but that's okay. We're going to work ourselves backwards. Okay, so again, once I set my stage, I'm going to add a scene to my stage. Then I need a scene, of course. So my scene is composed of different groups of elements. And so I'm going to put in a new scene. And I'm going to call this root is the group of elements I'm going to have. I'm going to say width of 600, height of 400, and I'm going to give it a color for the background. I will call it cyan, because that is one of my son's favorite colors. Okay. Now again, I'm getting some errors here because it doesn't know what scene is. It hasn't been imported, so I'm going to import from JavaFX. And I'm also getting some errors. I have to import this one here as well. Import again, you see from Java AWT, which is the older version. We need it from JavaFX. And I think cyan might not be the right color. Cyan like that. Okay. And now again, I still have the error because I don't have a root. The root is going to be my group. So I'm going to say group root equals new group. And I could start it with something, but I'm going to start it pretty much blank. Okay. And again, I need to import from JavaFX. You see my imports are already starting to get pretty long. Okay. Now, if I do all this and run it, nothing's going to happen. I've now created a group. I put my group into a scene. I put my scene into a stage, and now I need to show my stage. So I'm going to say stage dot show. And that's the basics of creating a JavaFX application. If I run this now, I should see my scene pop up. Just a nice cyan 600 by 400 scene. Okay. So let's go back now and figure out how we can put some things into our scene. So again, the root is basically the group of all the objects that I have here that is in my scene. And so I want to add objects to that root group. A couple objects that we're going to look at today are text elements and image elements. So let's first of all add a text element. So I'm going to say text. I'll call this my title equals new text. And then I'm going to give it a location and a title. So I'm going to put the location as half of my width. So my width is 600. I'm going to put it as, well, not quite half. I'll say 275. I'm going to put it just 10 down from the top, and I'm going to give it a title. We'll call this my first game. Okay. Again, I have an error because I need to import from JavaFX. Now that I have that title, I can put that title into my group, and so I'm going to say root.getChildren. These are the children that go underneath the root, and I'm going to say add, and I'm going to add my title. Okay. Again, if I run it now, I should see my text at the top there. Not quite centered. I might want to subtract a little bit more off of this. Let's go back to like 260. I'm not going to rerun it right now, though. Okay, so that's how I add a title. I want to also add an image because I'm going to create this game and I need some images there. Okay. So now what I want to do is add an image, and I'm going to use an icon library, and I'll show you where to get this in a second. But basically I have to do this in a couple steps. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create an image. I'll call it my icon image equals new image. I'm going to give it a location inside of quotes of a object. It can be either file saved on your computer or it can be a file online. And for this one, I'm just going to use a file online. So hold on one second and I'll show you where we get that. This site called iconarchive.com. You can get them from different places, but I like this site. It has some nice places. I'm just going to look at avatars, and I'm going to go down to these Bioman avatars. And I'll pick out one of them. Let me pick out the green. I'm going to go look at the PNG file. And this is the one I want right here. I can see it's 128. Sometimes they have smaller versions, like I want a 32. I don't know if they have a 32. And they do have a 32, so I'm just going to use that one right there. If not, I can actually resize it in Eclipse, but I'd rather resize it here. So again, I'm going to take that link and put it right there. Okay. Again, image is going to have to be imported. And now from the image, I need to create, the second step of this is an image view. And I'm going to call this my icon equals new image view, and then I'm going to pass it my image, so my icon image. And once again, another import. Now that I have an image, I need to put this image in a node. Now, I could create the node right here with a command like that, but I actually want to create the node up here. The reason being is that I'm going to use it in a couple different places. So I want to create it for the whole class. So I'm going to create a node called icon right here. Define it there, and again, an import from JavaFX. Now I'm going to come and say icon equals my icon. Okay. Now that's essentially created a node that I can put on my screen. Before I put it on the screen, though, or before I add it to my scene, I actually want to give it, I can define some properties. The one that I want to define first and before I put on is a relocate. When this first creates, it creates at the 0,0 location, so the top left corner. I actually want to relocate it, and let's put it in the center. So right now, it's going to be roughly center because it's going to be the center of the left corner, but I could do 300 by 200, and that's okay for right now. And now that I have given it the location I want, I can actually add it to my scene. And so again, I'm going to go to my group, which is my root, and say root.getChildren.add. And I'm going to add the node, and the node is icon. Okay. So save that and run it. And there's my guy. So can't do much with him right now. He's just sitting there. We're going to go look at that next.